Hi, Pastor Kip here. I'm glad to be back with you in my weekly V message. I took a break while I was on vacation and was back this past Sunday. I want you to imagine for a moment, what would you say if you had the opportunity to sit down with God and ask God face to face any question you wanted, any question that was on your mind? What would it be about? Would you ask questions about faith? Would you ask questions about the identity of Jesus, the deity of Christ, the end of the world, questions about hope, maybe questions about yourself, your place in the world and in the universe. Or maybe you'd ask questions about suffering. Why is there tragedy? How do we understand natural disasters? And why is it that good people sometimes have such bad things happen to them? I raise this issue with you because this past Sunday in worship, I announced my new series that will begin in the month of August. And I've entitled this series, If Jesus is the Answer, What Are the Questions? Now, I'll tell you what inspired this. When I was a teenager, there was a song that was common in our youth group on Sunday evenings and also at summer camp. And it was a song entitled Jesus is the Answer. And it went on to say, Jesus is the answer for the world today. Above him, there's no other. Jesus is the way. You would often see t shirts that had Jesus is the answer. There were bumper stickers then that you'd see on cars. Now, this is a popular contemporary Christian chorus that, as I said, we would sing on Sunday evenings as a part of our youth music. And that inspired me to begin to ask even back then, well, if Jesus is the answer, okay, but what are the questions? Sometimes we're giving answers before we even ask the questions, or we assume the answer before we have the courage to ask the questions. And so I'm giving us an opportunity to engage in this series. I invited people Sunday to share their questions with me, and in the bulletin was this little questionnaire form for people to fill out. And many people did, and they shared them with me. They left them on the table there in the sanctuary, or they handed them to me personally. And I've been going through them. It's been kind of a meditative experience for me to consider the questions. I didn't ask for names. You didn't have to sign it. Just share the question with me. And many of them fit in the categories I had just previously mentioned. A lot of them zeroed in on the issues of why. Why do these things happen? Why has these things happened to me? Or why did something happen that I wasn't prepared for? Why have my prayers not been answered that I'm praying about a loved one that's going through a difficult period in their life? I will continue this opportunity because I'm really interested in what your questions are, because they will fit into all the ways in which we will discuss them going forward in August and September. I'll be sharing these questions without sharing identities, of course, but sharing the questions along the way. So I want to give you an opportunity to do so. This Sunday, there will be this little questionnaire in the bulletin again for you to fill out, share your question with me. And if you already have shared a question and you have another one that has come to your mind, write it down and share it with me. If you'd like to share that with me personally, you can also do that at my email at pastorkip@fpcflorence.org, and you can send me your question as well if you prefer to do it that way. You see, as we engage in this journey together about Jesus is the answer, well, what are the questions? What I want to do is a deep dive into the ways in which Christ, through the power of the scriptures, gives us some direction and oftentimes answers that we perhaps have been looking for and couldn't find. And sometimes Jesus surprises us in how he responds in one way or another to the same quandaries we have today in our modern world that people had in Jesus' day. Jesus was confronted by many questions, both from his own followers and apostles and disciples, and also from people like the Pharisees and religious leaders who proposed life altering questions to Jesus. We're going to get into each of those and consider them in turn. And my hope is that, yes, while we affirm that Jesus is the answer for the world today, there's also some questions that we can ask that can deepen and broaden and strengthen our faith. This coming Sunday, I'll continue this current sermon series that we're in of hymns my mama taught me. And so many of you have shared with me how meaningful this series has been as I've shared my faith journey and how my mother taught me certain hymns and spirituals, and each Sunday we've had them presented in different ways. The choir and the musicians and the soloists, the ensembles have just done a magnificent job presenting these hymns in a way that musically could capture our imagination. And this Sunday, I hope, will be no different. As we take up one of the very first hymns I remember my mama teaching me, it's called This Is Our Father's World. And it's in our Presbyterian hymnal. All these hymns I've selected are in our Presbyterian hymnal, Glory to God, and also in so many other hymnals. My mother has a collection of hymnals that span various denominations and Christian traditions. And many of those same hymns appear in one form or another in a plethora of hymnals that reflect the great Christian tradition, both Protestant and Roman Catholic. And even in the Orthodox tradition, you'll find some of these similar hymns as well, if not the exact same wording of those hymns. This Is My Father's World captures a broader imagination about how we find our place in the great world that is God's world, and what it means to be a part of something so massive, so awesome, so large. And we often can feel so small in the magnitude of God's creation. This Is My Father's World is a way also of understanding our place in the world. And I want to be able to talk about that this coming Sunday as well. So I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I'll look forward to seeing you this coming Sunday. One last thing I want to mention. Randy Pettis was a commissioned delegate to the General Assembly of 2026 for the Presbyterian Church Worldwide, USA, Presbyterian Church USA. Every 2 years, we have our General Assembly where world Presbyterians come together to do the business of the church. And it was a wonderful honor that our own Randy Pettis would be selected by the North Alabama Presbytery to go and represent us and this synod, the Living Water Synod, at the General Assembly. And he had a wonderful experience, I think. It was daunting and demanding, and yet he was there for the whole of it to serve valiantly as a commissioned delegate. And he's going to make a presentation about what that was all about and share with us about some of the legislation that came forth from the General Assembly. On the last Sunday of this month of July, during the Sunday school hour at 9:45 in the fellowship hall on the lower level, he'll be making that presentation. I'm going to be there. I hope you'll be there. I want to hear what he has to say. We've talked a little bit about it, but I said, I want you to save all that until you can share and I can participate in that. And he'll have a presentation for us. He's put together a PowerPoint to help us kind of visualize a lot of this. And he'll do Q&A as well. Answer any questions you may have, offer any clarity, especially when the media gets a hold of something like that. And sometimes how it's presented leaves some things out or presents it in a salacious way. He's going to clarify all of that. And it helps us feel good, at least speaking for myself, being a part of something bigger. We do a lot of wonderful things here at First Presbyterian Church in Florence, but we are a part of something larger. And Randy is going to help open our eyes to how broad the movement of God is in the world, and specifically how it works through Presbyterians. And so I hope you will be there. Mark your calendar for that. I look forward to seeing you in worship this coming Sunday. Bring a friend, a family member with you, and let's continue to grow and go forward together. I'll see you then. God bless you.